Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. 5 WNBA games here on Thursday. Got plenty to look at. Some players back from the Euros. We've got Caitlin Clark out. A couple other players that are questionable or already set to miss. So we're going to take a look at all that stuff. If that sounds good, give this video a like. Let's get right into it. First game is going to be the Liberty at home versus the Sparks. Going to take a look at how these two teams have been playing recently. Also got Fibic back. Now, don't know if she's going to start right away, but she's been in basketball shape, right? She was playing over in the Euros, and now she's back after when they're playing with Team Germany. She's huge for everything that they want to do here. The key is going to be how much better they've been with Fibic versus without her, right? 9-0 when she's played this season versus 2-5. The offensive rating goes up by about 10 points per 100 with her. The defensive rating goes down by almost 15 points per 100 possessions. They are an insanely better defense when she's out there. Their best wing defender, there's no questions about it, right? Natasha Cloud been doing a great job on the best ball handler on the other team, but with Fibic back, you've got a big wing defender that can guard multiple positions, crucial to everything they do. She's also obviously crucial to the offense, like we said, and the points per game go up by about 6 per game with her out there. And everything we've been talking about with New York over the last 7 games has been about how bad they've been, especially on defense. They've been playing really fast. Their games have been pretty high scoring. Same with the Sparks, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, is because both these teams been scoring a decent amount, but more importantly, have not been stopping anybody. Now, maybe you think the Liberty are a bit better with Fibic back. That would most likely hold true in this game. They are still without Jonquel Jones, though, who is as important to the down low defense as anybody and to the defensive rebounding as well. So consider that she's still out, but I expect these numbers to go up for the Liberty a bit in terms of getting better on defense. Sparks, though, still one of the worst defenses in the league. Quick reminder that you can jump into the VIP if you're interested in making sure you don't miss any of the picks that I'm putting out. I have plenty of opportunities to get in on some sportsbook promos, get some free money if you don't yet have an account with some of these books. Plenty of them listed, more than just the ones here. They're all scrolling underneath me here on the video, as well as in the description of the video for the link there. If you do sign up using that code LYB, send me a screenshot. Hit me up on either Twitter or Discord. Let me know you did that. Happy to give you a free month in the VIP Discord so you can get all the picks and all the community and conversation that we're having in there about the W and the MLB this summer. Jumping into Props Madness here, #1 sports betting research tool for all things player props here in the WNBA. Use code LYB as well for that if you want to jump in and get 25% off on your first month with this platform. You also get the ability to take 7 days free trial, test it out for yourself, see if you like the platform. But using this to start with the first bet that I'm looking at here, which is Stewie for the Liberty in this game. And look, Fibic being back is going to impact things a ton, but I think the rebounds and assists are still a really good look for Stewie, mostly because she's doing this really, really well without Jonquel Jones, right? If we look at the 7 games that Jonquel has missed, over in 5 of 7, it's pretty much the same for both the rebounds and the assists in terms of going over with the same hit rate. Definitely an increase in volume for both those things. Rebounds a little bit better of a play if you're going to play them by themselves and you can't get the combo, but I like this number at 10.5 for basically even money here, and we could probably get this at 9.5 if this goes down at all at this point, right? From the number that it's at, I would take that over as well. I kind of disagree with the market and how well this is priced here for the odds at plus 100. Really like that bet for Stewie more than anything here, including the points, which I don't dislike for her in any way. I'm just looking at the things that have sort of increased without Jonquel versus the things that are sort of staying the same, which is the points pretty much the same, and the rebounds and assists do go up without Jonquel out there. Sabrina, I don't know what state she's in. She's been awful recently, mostly because of that neck injury that she sustained. She came back in this Valkyries game after missing one, but has not been the same player, as you can see in these last 3, and got hurt here in this Mercury game towards the end, and really had a bad game in that one anyway. So not ready to get back on the over for her. This at 17.5 was a bit better. Nothing here really stands out as a good bet for Sabrina. And we've been fading Natasha Cloud, but recently, and especially in the last 2 games since Sabrina has come back but been injured, Natasha Cloud has stepped up big time and really taken on a lot higher of a usage in these last 2 games. 11 shots, 12 shots, got to the free throw line about 3 times per game in these last couple. And the fact that she's up to double-digit shot attempts tells me she's definitely trying to increase her usage in this offense, right? And you see all these unders here during that time frame. I think she was maxing out at like 8 shots. She never took more than 8 here in this huge under sort of pattern, right, that we saw here for all these games in a row. Now in the last 2, though, that's gone from taking 8 per game, or really like about 7 per game, to about 13 per game, 12 per game in that range. So I can't really get there. If she's going to keep that usage as high as it's been, can't really be fading it anymore. We're actually probably fair numbers here on the props that we have for her against a really, really bad Sparks defense. Now for Kelsey Plum on the other side, I'd be looking at an over for her, but I just don't trust her if Natasha Cloud is going to be the main defender on her. Now, the key here is that this team has been horrible up top, mostly because who's ever got playing guard opposite Natasha Cloud, whether it be Sabrina or everybody pretty much coming off the bench, definitely been a minus on the defensive side of the ball. That's been a huge reason why, guards like Kelsey Plum have done really well scoring against this team, especially up top, if you can hit threes from above the break. With Cloud back, with Fibich back as well, I don't really like this quite as much for Plum, and don't really like any overs for anybody except for potentially Azura Stevens. That would be the one player that I do like to continue to hit her shots, mostly because this team is not good versus the spot up, right? The New York Liberty, pretty good against the pick and roll ball handler, the person who's on ball. But when you're playing off ball against them and you're standing there waiting for a spot up shot, I do think Azura Stevens is going to be in a pretty good position. For Hamby, I don't really like her to get hers on the boards if she's guarding Stewie. The points, if Stewie's guarding her, that's going to be a bit of an issue. So my main thing here is I don't yet know the matchups without Fibich. So everything for these forwards, especially on the Sparks, is going to be a bit of a stay away until I can sort of understand more about what's going on with Fibich. If Fibich is starting and in there for pretty much full minutes, then I like unders for Dearica Hamby, especially in this game. Next game, we've got the Aces in Indy taking on the Fever, and obviously the biggest news, Caitlin Clark out for the third straight game, and Indy is in a pretty big letdown spot, I would say, after winning the Cup, getting very hyped up for playing what's been the best team in the league all season in Minnesota, especially with the injuries to the Liberty. So this would be one where you kind of come back down from the high that you're on, playing and winning in that Cup final. The other thing here is that Nalissa Smith should be debuting for the Aces. Don't know for sure if she's going to start. We have Stokes in there right now as the starter, and this would be how things would match up. But if Nalissa Smith comes in and they decide that she's just ready to jump into the lineup, I can see them wanting to get her involved big time because they're missing a lot on offense with Stokes starting. But when she doesn't play, they're awful on defense. And it does seem like Nalissa Smith would be able to come in and really sort of handle some of that stuff. But let's look at the props either way. We don't have Nalissa Smith props yet, but we can look at the ones we do have available. Starting with Kelsey Mitchell, I do like an under for her on the 18.5 points here. God bless if people bet this over so we can get the 19.5 and go under that as well. But key thing here is not just how the stats go down slightly without Cece. It's mostly the matchup in this game. We're going to see her guarded by Jackie Young because that's the best defender, guarding the best playmaker and scorer on the other team. And Kelsey Mitchell, that's going to be a problem, right? For Kelsey Mitchell, she's going to get the worst matchup here. So I do like her to continue to go under as she has consistently with Caitlin Clark out, right? So that's my favorite bet for her. Aaliyah Boston, I'd be going back to unders for her as well. Only one over, even on the 23.5 points and rebounds combined. That number she's gone under in 7 of 8 games without Caitlin Clark, especially because we know how crucial she is to the offense, to Aaliyah Boston's offense. That is Caitlin Clark, right? So they run that pick and roll together. That keeps Aaliyah Boston really involved in the offense, and that's why her points, her usage, her minutes, everything are higher in the games that Caitlin Clark plays versus the games that she does not. And you can see the difference here when I put her in a lot better on the overs there. Points go up by like 4 points per game, 5 points per game versus what they are without her. The rebounds also much worse without Caitlin Clark. You can see here with her, she's at 10 per game. If we take her out off the court, she goes way down to 6 per game. Big difference there. And I don't really like her on either of these. So I think putting them together is the best under for her in this one. Natasha Howard, this is actually a good moment in time to go over, but on the rebounds, but we're getting a bad number here. And when I say good moment in time, it's because Dantas is still not going to be out there. She's now playing with Brazil in the FIBA tournament there. So she's not going to be around. That gives Natasha Howard in the last 2 games without Dantas, 35 minutes, 32 minutes, 13 rebounds, 12 rebounds. Pretty good rebound matchup, the way that the Aces have been pretty poor at that. Again, Nalissa Smith should come in and help out a lot of the problems that they have on rebounding and defending the forward position. So I'm a little bit hesitant to go over on Natasha Howard with all those things in consideration. Plus, this number is way higher than what she's been doing most of the season. These numbers are without Clark. If you look at her on the season as a whole, she's at 6.8. So just because she's gone over so well in the last couple games doesn't mean that this is necessarily a good spot for her to go under. Again, if you think the Aces are and should be favored the way they are, then this means there's probably gonna be a few less misses on the Aces side, which leaves a few less rebounds for the Fever. The best bet here for A'ja Wilson, if I was going to bet it, would still be the points. The rebounds have gone all the way back up to 9.5. This defense is actually much better rebounding and limiting rebounds to opposing centers. The points they're somehow really bad at, despite having Leah Boston and some really good players down low. They give up like the 4th most points per game to the center position. They're giving up most of those points right next to the bucket. So if you think that's going to continue, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Leah Boston should be better down low, and she just hasn't been this whole season. So if you think that that's the play, I mean, the best play for an over for A'ja is the points based on the matchup data here and the fact that she's still just going to be taking at least 18 shots no matter what, right? Even in the games where she's been going under, she's getting up to 18, sometimes 21 shots overall, right? So this should be the points would be the best bet for her if you were going to take them. I kind of like the assists over for both Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young. Now, I know that this is not the best matchup for that. It's just the edge that we're getting on the sort of juice here. But if you look at the assists, this Fever team is number 1 limiting assists overall, number 1 limiting assists to guards, which is probably why we're getting some pretty good odds here for either of these players to go over. Jackie Young, 3.5, -112, decent edge there. And then the 4.5 for plus money here for Chelsea Gray. This might even go down to 3.5, especially based on the game that she had against them last time. But that's really one of her only unders here in the last like 7 or 8 games. She and Jackie Young have been taking on the bulk of the assist duties, both getting a ton of touches, very high assist rate. And that's kind of the number I like for both of them as A'ja Wilson continues to take the majority of the shots for this team. Next game, we got the Storm in Atlanta. Should be a good game, but I will say Storm coming off a bad loss against the Valkyrie. But I wanted to point out that in their last 7 games, they've lost 3 times. 2 of those losses are to the Valkyries, who seem to very much so have their number with the way that they play. But the key here is that Ryan Howard is questionable after leaving that Liberty game early and not returning, right? She only played 23 minutes in that game, wasn't having the best game on offense, but was doing a great job on defense there against mostly against Sabrina, I believe. Now, the key with her is going to be that without her, they are worse on offense for sure. Without Howard, in the 106 minutes that she's been off court this season, they're at 76 points per 40 minutes. So basically, if you extrapolate all her minutes out to a full game, they would score about 76 points per game without Howard. And she hasn't missed a full game yet, but when she's off court, they're definitely a different offense. You've seen it in the total. It's dropped from 163.5 to 161.5. Seems to be dropping a bit more as people are definitely leaning towards the under without such a key offensive player for the Dream. And both these teams have been playing really well on defense. But let's look at what happens when Howard is off court this season. There's a couple players that we should look at here, starting with Griner. Hers is the most noticeable, right? Without Howard on court, she's played 39 total minutes. She scored 24 points per 30 minutes, right? Scoring like 1.3 points per minute or so, per possession, I should say. Really, really good stuff. The board's also super high for her when Howard's not out there. Basically, she just becomes a bigger focal point of everything they do. On defense, she definitely is a lot more responsible for just boxing out. She's not really guarding anybody who's shooting quite as much. And then on for the points, they get her involved more. There's more shots to go around, and she offers them something that nobody else on the team, really, really gives them, which is that threat and that lob threat near the rim, where she can just catch and put it right back up. So yeah, I think in this matchup against Seattle, like Griner might be another good look here. Not going to be easy against a team that's really good guarding down low, but we might get some value on her props in this one. For Alicia Gray, not quite as much, right? The 67 minutes, nothing really goes up for her. So that's what I'm just sort of heeding here is a little bit of caution against another good team on the perimeter, good defense in general in Seattle, who's been second in defensive rating over the course of their last roughly 6-7 games. And this is going to be a tough matchup for her, especially without Howard out there. She's going to be getting the best defender consistently on the other side. The combo, honestly, of Gabby Williams and Erica Wheeler should be a problem for her. So I'd be a little bit careful with overs for Alicia Gray. And then for Bree Jones here, also doesn't really go up much without her. Naz Hillman comes in, gets a lot of time. Doubt we're going to get any Naz Hillman props because the books are criminals. But if we did, that's where I'd be going. A little bit more than Bree Jones. Naz Hillman comes in, gets some really good minutes and some really good usage when she's playing without Ryan Howard. For Alicia Gray, I'm staying away. The points at 18.5, I just don't trust that she can take on the bulk of this scoring with Ryan Howard out to that degree. That's been the case on the season. Like I said, hasn't really gone up. The thing that I keep eyeing for her is the rebounds and assists, but this just isn't a very good matchup for that. And you can see one of her 5 unders, because she's over this number, 8.5 rebounds and assists combined in 12 of 17 games. But one of the 5 is the unders was against the Seattle Storm in that one. And that was also without Jordan Canada, right? Which should mean a few more assists for Alicia Gray with Canada not out there. But overall, like, I'm basically just worried about the matchup and the fact that they can now focus on her a lot more. I'd be fading something along the lines of her PRA before I went over. Everything's just a little bit low for her still because of the fact that I think that the books aren't fooled either, that if Ryan Howard is out, that we should automatically just start going over on Alicia Gray. My favorite over is Griner, like I was hinting towards. I think points and rebounds are going to be good for her. And I think without Howard, we should expect her to be in the high 20s once again. And if you look at her minutes when she's played at least 25 or so, these numbers are still pretty beatable, right? 20 PR per game. She's at 6.6 boards, 13.8 points. I like the points probably more than anything in terms of going the over, bigger edge than any of the other props here. But overall, like, the PR itself is still very beatable at 16.5 for Griner. Like, she could be at a 15-point game in this one, the way that her usage goes up without Ryan Howard. On the other side, Skylar Diggins-Smith has been scoring a ton, and I think this is another game where it's kind of like with the matchup against Atlanta, the points are good to the over at 17.5, and the assists are good to the under, even at 5.5 here. Kind of hoping this would be at 6.5 like it has been, but Atlanta, one of the best teams limiting assists overall, and third best limiting assists to guards as well. So this would be a situation where, look, Diggins-Smith has still maintained her assists, even with Gabby Williams getting a lot more touches and a lot higher usage in the last 7 games or so. They're close to even in terms of the assists that they're getting here, but we still get an edge to Diggins-Smith. So I would rather get this at 6.5 to the under. I'll probably leave it at just playing the points by themselves to the over and leave assists or anything else out because I don't trust it in this matchup. But 5.5 is low. That's why I don't feel comfortable going under on it. If you look at the other plays I'd be looking at here, Gabby, if anything, I'd be just going with the points. But again, this is not a great matchup for her. Now, the key is if Howard is out, that's at least their second best, if not their best defender out on the wing. That would make things a lot easier for Gabby Williams. But if Pow comes in and starts or gets a good amount of minutes, she's a very good defensive guard. So, and then Hillman coming in would be a big body, at least to stop stuff from coming in the paint. So I don't love anything really here for Gabby or for anybody else other than Skylar Diggins, who's mostly because she's scoring from the pick and roll spot, right? That's the last point I want to make here is if you're on ball, taking pull-up shots, not relying on spot up or passes coming your way to get your points, then you're a lot more likely to score, especially driving to the hoop against this Atlanta Dream team. That's what she's doing a lot of and how she's getting a good amount of her points. Hasn't even really needed the 3-ball that much. So she's really the only player I like for an over in this game because I don't even really like that many points in this one. This one should actually be a pretty good matchup here. We've got the Lynx and the Mystics going up against each other after the Lynx with that tough loss. And the Mystics won the last game as well. There was no Brittany Sykes in that one, no Nafisa Collier. Both those players back in this one. So things should be a little bit different, especially for Minnesota on offense. In that loss, they shot 38% from the field, had shot 16% from deep. So really tough game for them. And that's why they lost, especially in that second half. And in the last 6 games, Washington, it's been the Shakira Austin effect, right? They've 4-2 in their last 6, making a run at the playoffs now, just about 1 game out of the last spot, and they're 3rd in defensive rating, 1st in free throw attempts and free throw attempt rate, by a bullet, actually, really good getting to the free throw line, being aggressive down low. That is the Shakira Austin effect, as we've seen. And with everybody back here, the one player though that is questionable is Sugg Sutton for the Mystics there. Not sure if she's going to be out there in this one. Again, she's missed a couple with injury, but either way, the Lynx here, pretty big favorites in a way that seems a little bit too high with the way that this Mystics team actually matches up well, especially with the rooks coming on, Sonia Citrone and Iriafin. Call it chalky, but my first look here is Nafisa over on the points. It's a numbers thing. I told you guys I'm looking a lot more at just the number. Is it beatable number based on how she's playing this season, what her recent history is, what her history in her career is? Nafisa's a better than 21.5 point scorer on average. We're coming off a really bad game for her. This is a good spot against a defense that, look, I mean, there's good defenders out there, but she supersedes any defense. I think we can all agree upon that, right? So there's nobody that you really think, oh yeah, they have a good chance of stopping Nafisa in this game. So 21.5 for someone scoring 23.5 is historically about 23.5 points per game. This is just low in a comeback spot for them after a pretty disappointing loss in the Cup final there. And similar look from McBride, who the threes is where I'm looking for her. We're getting plus 140 for her to do something that she's done in more than half the games this season. 2.5 threes is what she's at. So if you want to call this a 50-50 shot, if she gets 2 or she gets 3, you got a 50-50 shot either way. well, you're getting plus 140 for a 50-50 shot. So those odds, according to my math, should probably be a lot closer to even money, and we're getting nice plus odds for McBride to go over on the threes, and the volume is still there for her, right? Even when she wasn't getting it, like she took, she only took 3 in that final really bad game against a really good perimeter defense, I should say, too. And the strength of this defense for Washington is definitely down low a lot more, limiting points in the paint. 3-point attempts still very high against them. They're giving up the 4th most points to the spot up play as well, which we know McBride's going to be doing, coming off of passes from players like Nafisa and Courtney Williams. So love the threes for her more than anything, to the over for that plus money there. And on the other side, got a couple bets too. I do like Brittany Sykes for boards in this one. 3.5 for even money for something that she's done in more than half the games. Again, averaging 4 per game. This is a defense that is good. It's been better, especially this season from last season in terms of rebounding, but they're still 7th in terms of rebounds allowed, and I do expect a few more threes to go up against them, which is another reason why Sykes is better as a rebounder on this team. Long rebounds off of the threes that they allow, right? They allow a lot of 3-point shots, but they don't really allow a ton down low. That leads to more 3-point attempts for the opponent, right? In this case, Minnesota shooting more threes, and so Sykes should be available for those long rebounds here. And then look, I'm not going to stop betting on Sonia Citron, and this is again a spot where we're getting 12.5 points for someone who scored 15 a game. And I know that like there's been a couple games without a few players like Melbourne, Engsler. They're probably both going to be back in this one, especially Engsler for sure is back. So maybe you think that that's why she's taken so many shots, but I mean, she's proven to be one of the more crucial players on this team. She's up to about 13 shots per game in her last 6 that she's going over very consistently, right? Averaging about 35 minutes per game. So Sonia Citron has become one of the most important starters on this squad. You can make the argument that she's more important than Brittany Sykes, and I expect her usage to stay high against a defense that, yeah, it's good all over. There's not really any weak points to it, but Citron is a very versatile player that can score off a lot of different ways. I mean, look at this. The percentage of her points is off all different types of play types. 18%, 17%, 17%, like 5 different play types that she's scoring at least 10% of her points off of. That's pretty impressive. So she's going to be harder to stop than just a one-trick pony. I do think she continues to get over a number that's low at 12.5. Last one I'm going to look at with you guys, and there's just a few bets I have for the Mercury because the Wings, I don't know what to do with them right now. Right, and Alyssa Smith is gone. Arike Ogunbowale is going to be out. Dejanay Carrington, doubtful. Maisha Hines-Allen, questionable once again. Buchers is going to be out there. McCowan also should be back from playing in the Euros over there. And then Phoenix, though, is fully healthy. So, like, this is not one that I'm considering going to be a very good game. But I think we're going to get some value here on a couple players for the Mercury. So the ones I'm looking at that we're still getting good value on, and I doubt that we're going to get some of these numbers by tomorrow. But I will say, Alyssa Thomas, like, what is with the disrespect, man? I don't get it. We're still able to get 29.5 PRA for her on some books. She's at 31.5 per game. She's over this number 75% of the time on the season. I don't understand what it's about. Maybe because she's defying the laws of age, you think that she should be slowing down, but she's an MVP candidate right now more than slowing down. And this is going to be an easy matchup versus this Wings defense that is poo-poo in every single way. So, I just love her to keep going over on a really low number. And the other player that I'm looking at here for them is my girl, Sammy. I do like Sabali. I'll say real quick, the rebounds, if you can still get those for plus money, if you get 8, she's averaging 8 on the season, over this in 65% of the games, and we're still getting plus money for 8+ boards. The Wings have been a good rebounding team. 3rd best limiting rebounds, 5th best limiting them to forwards, but I still think Sabali has been so important to the down low stuff for them. And with Copper back, I've been saying this, she's been playing down low as Copper's been back in the last 5 games. She's been playing a lot closer to the basket on both sides of the ball. But this is all about Sammy Whitcomb, and we're still getting plus money for her to hit 3 threes. She's hit at least 4 in each of the last 5 games that she's played in. The minutes in the last 5 are up to about 25, 26 per game. The 3-point attempts in this spot, we're looking at 8, 9, 10, 7, 9 in the last 5 games, right? So if she's even taking 7, she's a 40% 3-point shooter. I'm taking that for plus money. There's no questions. Fine with the points if you want that, but I would just take the threes and then something like a 15+ points or something as an alt line and get some plus money because Sammy is sizzling right now from deep. All right, don't forget, if you do want to jump into the VIP for free, go ahead and sign up for any of these books. Use code LYB. The link in the description of the video has everything you need for any of the books. So if you do have a lot of accounts, there's probably some in there that you don't. Use code LYB. Get yourself some free money and some free bets on a new book, and then send me that stuff either at JL on Twitter or Discord. Either way, it's at JL Boogie. I'll hit you back and get you that free month in the VIP so you don't miss any of the bets that we're making here this season. And until I see y'all next, Happy betting.